Hey guys, welcome to Panthers Forecast. Here we are with our second mock draft. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to go over real quick talking about our free agents on our team, who we should bring back, who we shouldn't bring back. We're going to hit out this mock draft, and then we're also going to talk about our opponents coming up for the next season. Looking at our unrestricted free agents, who I think we should bring back. We definitely got to bring back Yash Nyman, definitely after that Ikem Ekwonu injury with the, what is that? He has a ruptured patellar tendon. I saw that it would be anywhere from 6 months to a year recovery, which if it's, a year, he's going to be pretty much out for the whole season, provided we make the playoffs again next year. We definitely need to bring back Yash Nyman, Cade Mays, Brady Christensen. We definitely need to bring back. I saw what Rico was talking about not getting the carries. So it's looking like Rico's probably not coming back. He wants a bigger contract and with more years and more money. So we may not be able to bring him back. I think that Damari Mathis. I just saw that Ejiro Evero. He has been brought back to the Panthers, but also the Steelers have requested to talk to Evero. So that's going to be interesting to see if Avero goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I imagine that if Damari Mathis would probably go with him and potentially Nick Scott as well. Oh, Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, he had that huge punt block in our game against the Rams. So definitely would like to see us bring him back. With David Moore, we need to do more of a youth movement on wide receiver. So he'd be good enough to probably let go. And then DJ Wanham, I think that we're going to probably move on from him. Christian Roseboom, he might also have other people looking to bring him out. But if we keep Roseboom, I think that's a good idea. But we can also still get that doesn't mean that in the draft that we should neglect linebacker. Not saying that at all. But I would definitely say that like Isaiah Simmons, Damari Mathis, Josh Nyman, Kate Mays, Brady Christensen, and Christian Roseboom should be people that we look to bring back. And then as far as this group, Claudin Chairless, he actually did pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I wouldn't mind him coming back, but obviously as depth, and then these are our exclusive rights free agents. So we'll look to see if Coker gets another deal or whatnot. But let's go ahead and jump into. I mean, yeah, Coker definitely going to be with us, but we'll see if we lock him up or secure him after that game against the Rams, and with him looking like our number two. We need to keep him in the building. So let's get straight to this mock draft. So we're gonna go with the Panthers. Then we're gonna go 7 rounds, and this time we're gonna do fast and we're gonna speed it up. But real quick, so with us losing, we had the 19th pick, and had we not made the playoffs, I think the Bucks had the 14th, so we would have probably been picking 14. But now we're picking 19th, so we're a little bit over middle in the draft. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this started real quick. Let's enter this bad boy, and let's see. Alrighty. And there. So for this mock draft, I'm not gonna accept trades. But if you watch my last video, I did say that this is the draft that we can afford to trade back. But for this draft, we're just going to not do the trade, and so I'm gonna decline all the trade offers. But in my next mock draft, I'll probably do another one. Yeah, I'll probably do another one next week. Why not? Maybe the week after, but I will do a mock draft with trade and talk about scenarios that I think that we should do and think about taking. And let's look at this. Let's see, a 2017 seventh and We'll see, but we're gonna reject this. We're gonna reject that. I don't know. 2007 round pick. Nah, don't want that. So we're gonna reject that. Oh, they are just coming in with it. All right, so here we go. So, oh, and that's crazy. So I see that the Vikings take Keon Sadiq, and I've been seeing his name pop up a lot with the Panthers. So this is really good right here. I don't really think that we should target a tight end this high in the draft, and I'm saying that because if you look at our offense, we don't really necessarily use the tight ends. The tight ends are sort of here or there. Like every now and then, you'll have a game where JT Sanders will have a good game, or like for instance, I know Tommy Tremble. I don't know if it was our first or second game, but Falcons. He had a really good game. He had that like 50-yard gain against. I believe it was the Falcons. Yeah, he had that big 50-yard because they missed tackled and Tommy Tremble went for about like 40 to 50, and then that helped us secure the win. And James, I'm trying to remember our Mitchell Evans, one of our rookie tight ends, also had like a few I think games earlier in the season where he showed up. But what I'm trying to say is if you look at Canales and him coming from the Pete Carroll coaching tree, they never really used the tight ends. I remember watching Seattle with Russell Wilson, and they had Luke Wilson, who I thought was a pretty good tight end. But Seattle, they hardly ever used their tight ends, under the Pete Carroll tree, and even back with Pete Carroll's days at USC. And I know I'm saying Pete Carroll, but Dave Canales has been with Pete Carroll ever since USC. And if he's running that same similar, offense, which I do feel he is, it's based off of running, and then setting up the pass, and then, but they hardly ever in the Pete Carroll or even in Canales' time at Tampa Bay that they like, was the tight end the major focus. It was pretty much the running back, Christian Godwin, and Mike Evans. That was really the main focus on Tampa. So I that's why I'm not too big on us drafting a tight end. I mean, I saw the game, only one game with him against Indiana. They got blown out pretty bad, so I didn't really get to see too much of Kenyon, but I've seen some of his highlights, and I'll also say this, and then I'll get to the pick with this tight end. So we need a deep vertical threat on our offense. We need speed. We need somebody that can take the top off. If you really kind of think about it, T Mac, where we kind of use them is more into like intermediate to short range. So kind of sort of like a tight end, where a tight end would be used. It'd be sad if our tight end would be the only player that could, blow the top off the coverage, which that's a bad sign for our wide receivers, because that would mean we don't really have that much speed and that we're relying on a tight end to blow the top off of the defense. But T Mac pretty much fills that role, and then Jalen Coker too, because Coker doesn't really always get these like deep 60-yard, 70-yard plays. So we need that on our offense. I understand that people want to get our tight ends more involved, but I also think that's just a product of our offense, like the reality of our offense. The reality of our offense and under Dave Canales is that we don't necessarily use the tight ends, and that's just coming from like the Pete Carroll family tree. They don't really necessarily use tight ends. And, I guess that's why, I didn't watch too many Raiders game, but I would assume that's why he had bad luck there. And, the Raiders had a bad offensive line and all that other stuff. But when your best tight end, when your best receiver is a tight end, or Brock Bowers, I just guess it was pretty hard. Pete Carroll's normally used to having like a good running game, and then also too with Oakland, they didn't really get the running game going off. So that's just pretty much Pete Carroll's bread and butter. The good running game. Running game sets up the pass, and they didn't have that, or even a good defense too. They didn't really have that at Oakland. But back to the tight ends, I don't think that the Panthers. I think that we should kind of like relax on the tight end. I think we got a good group of tight ends. But let me go ahead and get on this draft. I know I was talking a lot, so They're saying that our team need is edge, safety, corner, um, offensive tackle, and tight end. So we're gonna go to the offense, and we're gonna look at wide receivers. So let me see. I'm gonna go to wide receivers. So based on where we're picking at, let me see if let me go into defense and see our linebackers and see who is available. So we got CJ Allen, and I know in my last mock draft I took CJ Allen and yeah, about like the 14th pick. But I actually think that for this one, I think we need to focus on our offense. That is going to be key. Now we got Makai Lemon first. He entered his junior year. I've seen him play. They said he got like electric play speed, but we need somebody that can take the top off. So we're gonna look right here and see if we got like a receiver that can take the top off. Let's see, he's NFL Roma Doomsday. No, it may have to be KC Conception right here on this first round because we need somebody really speedy. As a human joystick throttle, change of direction, and special traits that lead to nature. Dang, what do we got here? Let's see on our receivers. Let's see what Denzel Boston brings to the table. 6'4". Oh, we just looked at Boston. Chris Bell. Likely a 4.4 speed build. Let me short quickness and a long stride explosion to flow. One-on-one on the vertical plane as well as speed and contact. Where's 6'2". We're gonna look at no. Jacoby Lane. Where are we gonna go here? Because the thing what I got with Makai Lemon is that I see him more of a short and intermediate, and we need that dude to take off the top. So it's looking like I might have to actually go with. I think I'm gonna probably have to go with KC Conception right there. He's not the most. Yeah, we need speed, and let's see what Micaiah brings to the table as well. He has an incredible dynamic with quickness and consistent balance. We're gonna go with Casey Conception. Here we go. At the 19th pick, we're gonna take a wide receiver. Alrighty, we're gonna reject that trade. So another thing, we also with that injury to Ikem Ekwonu, and that's really a bummer for our team. And then I think we're going to bring back Brady Christensen and Josh Nyman, but how should that affect our draft? I don't really think that we should be wasting a first, second, third, or even a fourth to replace or address him. I think we should wait. We should, well, not wait, but look for a free agency to find a veteran to fill in his role for Ikem Ekwonu. We can do that, I mean we were already going to probably bring in a lineman into the in the draft anyways, but I think that we shouldn't waste our first four picks on trying to find somebody to be a band-aid for these picks have to go to like holes on our roster, so like wide receiver, linebacker, getting more edge rush. So I think that's more important than trying to find a band-aid for Ikem Ekwonu, who's going to be probably out. I would say I would expect him to miss most of next season. So I think we can keep Brady Christensen on that side, and then Josh Nyman. He did a pretty good job filling in for Ikem Ekwonu. But back to this right here. So we went with our receiver KC Conception out of Texas A&M to get that vertical speed. So for our second round pick, I think we're gonna have to go defense. We can't double dip. We can't double dip on wide receiver just yet. We're gonna go look at our linebackers. So we got Anthony Hill Jr., we got Josh Trotter, Jacob Golday, um, Harold Parkinson Jr., but he had that ACL. I think I'm gonna go Anthony. Yeah, we're gonna go Anthony Hall Jr. Yeah, for him to be our quarterback on defense, we need to definitely. And I'm gonna stay consistent on this. This is how I feel with the Panthers draft coming up this year. Either our first or second pick needs to be a linebacker. That's a lock for me. Either our first or second. I'm okay if Canales or Dan Morgan. Hell, I'm even fine with them even going pass rusher because I know this is so. This draft is supposed to be deep in receivers and pass rushers, and I know Melchi Jr. and Phil Yates said that it was supposed to be weak in interior linemen, and I forgot the other position, but interior linemen. This draft shouldn't be as deep, and then I think there is some depth with corners in this draft, so I don't really think that we should, bypass getting a linebacker in the first two rounds. We definitely got to get that linebacker in this first two rounds. So I'm fine with the first round, us going wide receiver like I did, or maybe even get another pass rush and then going linebacker in the second. Or if we go linebacker in the first round, I do like C.J. Allen. And if Sonny Styles is there, I would definitely jump on that. But we're gonna do our due diligence and we'll see. But that's who I'm gonna go with right here. I'm gonna go with Anthony Hill Jr. to be our quarterback of our defense. All right, we're gonna reject that. No, I'm not doing that. So right here at the third round, we got our linebacker and we got our wide receiver. So for this situation right here, I think it's going to be good for us to look at corner. I think that corner can be a good one right here for us to look at. And I'm still going to stay with this guy. I thought he played pretty well in the last game I watched, Miami versus who did Miami play? The Ole Miss. I thought he did pretty good in Ole Miss. So I'm gonna keep on. There's something there with Keontae Scott. So I'm gonna draft him again. We're gonna take Keontae Scott. So it'd be crazy if the Panthers actually do draft him. So no, damn it! They took Zachariah Branch. I like Zachariah Branch. I think he'd be nice to have on the Panthers with his elusiveness. He's sort of really just like Jimmy Horn Jr. And I know what people might say that like we don't need two of the same receivers, but I think there's something special there with him. To be honest, I actually view Zachary Branch the same way I did Bucky Irvin. I always felt that there was something special about Bucky Irvin. Watching some of his highlights with Oregon, and I see the same thing with Zachariah Branch. I see that potential. He has juke ability. He is explosive. He can get yak, even though I think that how this NFL's going with some of these people like Steve Smith and all these other people talking about like yak and yaks and like. Don't get me wrong. I understand like yards after catch is a big deal, but I still think that the receivers still got to make like big plays. I think everybody's into the like catch the ball in the backfield and they just juke and then they get like 7 yards. We need that big vertical play. We don't need this like he's juking and he only gets like 7 yards, But I think Zachariah Branch would have been a good person to try to take the top off of defense, or even he has that like that ability where he can make somebody miss and just go the distance. Almost sort of really like Deontay Johnson, when Deontay Johnson cooked up the Oakland Raiders that one year when Andy Dalton was a quarterback, and he just cooked the hell out of the Oakland Raiders defense because he was just so crafty. So I think that's the same thing with Zachariah Branch. So I just took a corner. At this point, we're gonna go looking at the edge. So we're here in the fourth round, and we're gonna go for edge. Let me see what I like right here. You know I'm an SEC sucker coming soon. That don't do me no good. Oh no! Let me close that out. So I think on this one we're not gonna get too many info on this one. Uh, we're gonna go take. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna take Kieran Crawford out of Auburn. So that's gonna be our D end right there. Let's see, they're probably gonna hit me with another trade. Alrighty, here we go. So we got our edge, we got our linebacker, we got our wide receiver, and I think we need to also go wide receiver again. I'm still staying true with that. I do think that we need to double dip at wide receiver. And Dion Burks, I actually like that. Malachi Fields, let me see that. Dion Burks first emerged. 4-7. He got the momentum. A dual-sided separator. He excels on Dion Burks. Okay, let me look at who else Malachi Fields. Can't really find too much, but we're gonna go Dion Burks. Yeah, we're gonna use his craftiness. Let's see, we're gonna reject that trade. So right now we double dip that receiver. We got our corner, and we got our edge. So right here, because we're in the fifth. Now I'm debating on whether we should go safety or get that offensive tackle, depending on. So right now, obviously this is a mock. I don't know what we're doing in free agency yet, but I'm going to trust that we're going to at least try to provide like a band aid for Akeem Aquanu, depending on how re-signing some of our free agents on our team goes this year. So we're gonna go with safety right here. And for safety, let's see if they got any. Oh no, they don't got no. Yeah, they don't got any information. But we'll go with Lewis Moore from Indiana. I'm gonna check real quick to see if I see any names that jump out to me that are like potential. Yeah, we'll take the safety, Lewis Moore from Indiana. Bring that. Who knows? Who knows if they beat Miami this coming up Monday? But yeah, we're going to see if we bring that championship pedigree to the Carolinas. So let's go with that. Okay, and then this is our last pick in the draft. So this year we don't have a seventh. I think that's from either that Minnesota trade where we don't have that seventh because we pretty much when Thielen went back to Minnesota, we just I think swapped picks and then we moved up for it. That might have been the one where we didn't have the sixth, and I think we were able to move up. So for this one right here, this is going to be our last pick of the draft. We're going to go ahead and just go with a tackle. We're going to, just in case we don't get a tackle in the off season for whatever reason, but I do feel comfortable in us at least bringing back Christensen or Josh Nyman, and then also Brady Christensen is he's pretty much like a swift army knife. I know he can play pretty much all positions, or he has played all positions on the offensive line, like guard, center, and even tackle. Now he may be better in some areas than not, but I still think that he can do a decent job, and we'll probably get a veteran presence out there in free agency. But it's also good to bring like an understudy to help out. So with our last pick in the draft, we're gonna go with. Let's see. We need to get us some cornbread, guys. Yeah, we'll just got Memphis. I don't know. I'm not trusting that, but I will trust Ole Miss. We'll go Diego Pounds. Yeah, keep pounding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last pick of the draft. We're gonna keep pounding. You already know that. We're gonna keep pounding. So there we go. We got Diego Pounds. And we're gonna keep pounding. And that's the end of the draft right there. So let's look at our picks. So our first round draft pick, this is a really a possibility that we could go wide receiver. I think this would make 3 years in a row because we did XL, then we did T Mac, and then we did if we draft this year a wide receiver. Now, people were saying that is that a bad thing? No, it's not because you got to understand Bryce Young is not like a mobile Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson type of quarterback. He's a pure pocket passer. Now, I know he had some slight mobility, but you know what I'm saying? Bryce is not like, you don't want Bryce to be taking that hit. So us drafting another wide receiver in the first round is not necessarily a bad thing. You want to fix your offense for your team, and we got to pick the right guys. And you heard me say this other times before with XL. I think XL's a good player. I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. And when XL was getting dogged out for being in the Gorilla video and all that other stuff, I didn't think that was like necessary. But to sort of like explain XL in a way, XL used to be like a quarterback, and then I think in high school, and then he may have made that switch in college to a wide receiver. So he's not really necessarily like a pure wide receiver. And this is what I was saying. You look at Jacoby Meyer or like Terrell Pryor. These were like quarterbacks, and then they eventually switched into the NFL to like wide receivers. And like don't get me wrong, they can do good. And Travis Kelsey was a quarterback. I don't know when he made the switch. He may have made the switch in college from quarterback to tight end, or maybe he switched from college into the pros to a tight end. But yeah, Kelsey's a Hall of Famer tight end, but like that's very rare, and it's very rare. It's still hard, I would say, for most people that played one position, especially like quarterback, to just switch and become a wide receiver and then to have success at the NFL level and be this like number one receiver. Jacoby Meyer does his thing, and but I think with XL, it's still going to take him some time, maybe. But then also another point is that the Panthers, we got to quit trying to be like the 49ers or the Patriots and try to do what they do. We have to stay true to who we are. We can't be drafting off of upside. We have to draft a pure receiver. Casey Conception, he's not like he used to be like a quarterback or something, and now he's just playing receiver for the first time. We saw this with Amani Edwards. Amani Edwards was a quarterback, I believe, for Appalachian State. The Panthers, we drafted him under the Ron Rivera regime, and we barely even used him. We used him for like wildcat plays. And it's also kind of crazy because I think, well, I don't know why I said we think, but we had Cam Newton. So we could have just ran the Wildcat with like Cam Newton, and it was just this weird thing with Amani Edwards, and that was a third round pick. And with XL now XL is really good. He just got to work on some things, and I just think that he'll find his footing. But I think for now, uh, we got to get another guy in there, and we got to get another guy with speed to take the top off. And that's not to say that XL and Coker, and actually this really works better because why wouldn't you want to have like a variety of weapons for your quarterback? Bryce is a pure pocket passing quarterback with a slight mobility, but I'm just going to call him a pure pocket passing quarterback. Uh, if you give Bryce these wide receivers weapons, it's going to benefit us. Most Panthers fans think that giving Bryce a lot of weapons is going to hurt us or whatnot, but that's not the case. I don't believe that. But I think KC Conception is going to be he if he can give us that speed and if he can take the top off, that can open it up for T Mac, that can open up for XL, and that can also open it up for Coker. And then I think our offense would be golden. And then we got our quarterback of our defense, Anthony Hill Jr. And as long as he can do a good job of blitzing and then also covering shifty running backs and then doing a good job of covering tight ends, then that's what we need. That's what we need in our linebacker. Keontae Scott with J.C. Horn missing the last bit of that game against the LA Rams in the playoffs, it just showed like a liability how our other corners are. So, we need a decent corner to grow under Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn. And, if J.C. or Mike goes down, then, we have a decent corner that can, play well and then eventually get better. And then, eventually play alongside J.C. Horn, or even J.C. Horn could probably even be the Robin to his Batman. But we need another good corner on our. We need good depth on the in our corner room, and then with the pass rush, we got Crawford, Dion Burks, another smaller receiver, hopefully to get some speed, hopefully to get some playmaking ability out there. We got our safety, Lewis Moore, just in case Nick Scott isn't there. And then we'll see if Damani Richardson can, come in. And then, we still also got Lathan Ransom, who played pretty good for his rookie year. He made he had that one boneheaded play against New Orleans, but then he came back and redeemed himself. I believe against the Rams. I think he had like a pick or so in that game. And then, to end it off with Diego Pounds, keep pounding. But, we got ourselves a tackle, so, he can be like an understudy under Yash Nyman or Brady Christensen. Hopefully we can bring them both back, or, in free agency we get another, tackle. And he can study under there, and then hopefully when Akeem, if we should make the playoffs, but he can come back and learn and learn from Akeem Aquanu. So yeah, that's our draft right there, and then I just want to look at the first round real quick, see who they got. Okay, so they got Fernando Mendoza going, and then I know what's his name. Deontay Moore is going back to Oregon, which is a good idea to him. He can keep on developing and whatnot. But I just want to see real quick who the Saints. Caleb Downs. Okay, so Caleb Downs is going there. That's who they got projected there. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that the Bucks could possibly get Sonny Styles, but let's see who are the other receivers. So yeah, Makai Lemon. Yeah, I'll look at more of his highlights and see. I watched one game. I can't remember who it was, but I just wasn't all too impressed. It just seemed like he was more of a short to intermediate kind of wide receiver. But I'll study up some more on him. And then okay, so C.J. Allen went there, so that's our linebacker. Denzel Boston and okay, Chris Bell's right there. Okay, so that was the other linebacker. So that's pretty good. So that's, I mean, 15 and 24. So that means that if we needed to go linebacker and we can get it there, or there's still like some. So at the spot 19, that's not a bad area. That we can still get some linebackers and we can still get some wide receivers in that area. But yeah, let me go on to our opponents. So for next year, we'll be playing. We already know that we play our division foes, but coming to Charlotte will be the Lions, the Bears, the Ravens, the Bengals, Seahawks, and the Broncos. So we got a tough schedule, and that's what you get when you win the division. You get a tough schedule. You get the hardest one. And our away games are going to be the Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Eagles. So we got ourselves a tough slate, but that's good because I mean all of these teams. Now we got a lot of hard hitting AFC teams. I mean we'll see how far the Seahawks go in the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers are already out, but I mean we will get to see the AFC. I mean, because I think the Ravens are going to bounce back in a big way. The Bengals are going to have a top pick, so we'll see how that goes. And the Broncos, we already know they have a ferocious defense. The Seahawks, we'll see. They're out of all the team in our oh yeah, the Seahawks and the Bears. As of me doing the recording of this video, are still in the playoffs. The Seahawks will be playing the 49ers, and the Rams will be playing the why did I say the Rams? Well, the Bears will be playing the Rams, who we almost knocked off. So yeah, we got ourselves a big boy schedule. So I predicted us winning in. I predict us having winning maybe 10 games or more. And depending on this off season and this draft, I feel like we can win 10 games or more and take that step. But this is a this is going to be a tough schedule. So right now, I live in Philadelphia. I plan to move to Charlotte, North Carolina in July. Yeah, about July. And I look forward to I know for sure I want to go see them play Lamar Jackson. I have to go see this game, and hopefully, everybody's healthy and whatnot, and I can see Lamar play. But I know that's for sure one game I do want to go see. And then as far as the away game, I wish I could have went to see a Phillies game while I'm here. I'm gonna go watch them play the San Antonio Spurs. I'm a big Spurs fan, so I'm gonna be watching the Sixers play the Spurs. But I might have to go out to Philly. But damn. I mean, Green Bay. I mean, there's nothing like Lambeau Field. Yeah, man, that stadium is really nice, and it's Green Bay. It's a historic stadium. But yeah. Oh, and I just wanted to finish this video talking about some of the head coaches. So luckily we dodged the bullet. So it looks like John Harbaugh is going to the New York Giants. So that's a good sign. But I've also saw signs of Mike McDaniels, and I believe I touched on this on my last video on I think it was either my mock draft or maybe the last video of the playoffs about the head coach situation about Mike McDaniels getting fired. That he would maybe we might see him in the NFC South team. So we need to be on the lookout for that. And then I haven't heard any news on Cliff Kingsbury. So with Mike McDaniels, there's a potential of him going to be in a Tampa Bay OC. And also Mike Tomlin. I was surprised that he stepped down. Well, not too surprised that he stepped down because Steelers fans have, and my brother's a Steelers fan, so I know they wanted to change and whatnot. But it's going to be interesting to see if Avero gets that job, and then if Avero does get that job, I am curious. I wouldn't know who would Canales have replaced. I figured if Avero leaves the Panthers, it's probably going to be somebody from the Tampa Bay defensive staff that Canales was friends with, or somebody on the Seattle Seahawks staff. Now, those would be my first two guesses. That if and this is if Ejiro Evero becomes the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's who we would probably target somebody on the Tampa Bay or the Seattle Seahawks. But then my secondary guesses would be if Canales really likes his philosophy of Avero, then he might target somebody from the LA Rams or somebody from the Denver Broncos. So that's my guess if Avero were to become the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. That's probably where we would probably target, or we could promote somebody in house. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, I just saw reports saying that he's not interested in coaching for this season. I guess he's going to take a break, but uh, yeah, we'll see what the Falcons do. We'll see what the Falcons do. So John Harbaugh will not be going to the Falcons. If I were to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if Cliff Kingsbury or there was somebody else that was let go that I wouldn't be surprised would have gotten that job. But yeah, yeah, Mike McDaniel's interviewing for the OC spot at Tampa. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. But yeah, this is our schedule for next year, and that was my mock draft right there. Let's go back to that and let's look at our picks right there. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that right there. So yeah, but yeah, this is a Panthers forecast. I'm out. We'll see what this divisional round looks like, and then I'll do another mock draft, possibly sometime maybe next week, and then on that mock draft, we will accept trades, and I'll talk a little bit about the trades that we need to take and how we should go about it. And yeah, you guys take care. See you later. Peace.